What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Live here on Keystroke Medium. I'm Josh Hayes here with Scott Moon, Chuck Manley, the one and only, the beautiful, the prolific, the amazing,
lovely and talented
Kacey Ezell.
Totally awake.
Master of all things.
Master of all, time traveler. Is it tomorrow there? Is it tomorrow there or is it today there? It's tomorrow.
Yeah.
There.
From the future.
It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
We should always leave with that. From the future. Coming to you from the future.
Welcome everybody in the live chat, catching us live here on YouTube. If you didn't know and you're listening on the audio feed, we're live on YouTube every Monday-ish at 2 p.m. Central God's time. If you're watching right now on YouTube, and you have not subscribed, there's a little red button down there. It says subscribe. What I want you to do right now is click on that button, click, and then hit the little like button. It's the thumbs up. Hit that. It helps us a lot. If you've learned anything from our show and you like us even just a little bit, or maybe you just like Scott, I don't really care if you like Chuck, but if you like Scott, click the like button.
Apparently, I like you.
Yay! But apparently people say they can't hear me, so I don't know if that's
I can hear you.
Up. Okay,
I can hear you just fine.
I'm going to talk, and even if people can't hear me, I'll just pretend they're listening, which is what I do most days.
To be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. Let's see who. I think it was Corey Gillum as the first comment of today, so he gets the Keystroke Medium golf clap.
He's like the first 7 comments, so he should get 7 golf claps.
Buenos dias, mi amigos. Bonjour, mi ami. Guten Morgen, mon Frühling. And I have absolutely no idea how to say it in Russian. Is that Chinese? I'm not sure.
Possibly.
Let's see. Keith is here. What's up, Keith Taylor? Drew Rivera, Thomas Hottle. Let's see. I saw Indigo Dragon. Scott McGlasson is on time. What? He was here early. That never happens.
That's weird.
Let's see. Trucker Charlie is in Florida today. Kayleen is here. Welcome. Yeah. Well, if you got to be somewhere. Oh, it's Mandarin, Corey says. Okay. Well, welcome everybody to the broadcast. We're going to have a fantastic show today. We're talking about Kacey's book, Skies to Conquer, which is the 3rd book in what's the series called?
The Psyche of War.
Psyche of War. That's right. I knew it had psyche in it because I could see that word. And I always think I'm spelling it wrong when I type it. It's kind of like guarantee. I can never type guarantee without having autocorrect spell it for me. I don't know what that. I don't know.
Or corridor. That's my word like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I never know how many O's or R's are in it.
Just corridor.
I just start throwing letters in and hope that it autocorrects to something, and then I can check the definition. Sure.
We're gonna talk about update. Go ahead, Kacey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I posted that on Facebook once many years ago, and one of my very witty girlfriends wrote back, H-A, like, I can never figure out how to spell this word, and then it had it. And she posted back in the comments, Hallway.
Nice. Nice. Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. We're going to be talking about our updates here for a second, but I also wanted to remind everybody the Keystroke Medium Flash Fiction Competition is still ongoing, and you still have, I think, 2-3 weeks to get your short stories in. It's ksmfiction@gmail.com is the email you want to send those stories to. 1,000 words or under is the hard limit, and the 3 finalists in that competition will be sent to Tony Weiskopf to be judged and bestowed first, second, and third on that. So if you want a possibility of the publisher and editor of Bane looking at your writing,
then you should get on that.
You maybe should write a little story.
Go flashy.
Yeah, very, very small. It's one of the interesting things I've thought about this last month in writing is different things that can challenge you as an author. And everyone that has submitted a story to the Flash Fiction competition has pretty much said the same thing. It's hard as hell to write a complete short story in 1,000
words. Oh yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. It is,
but
tough.
it's also
fun.
pretty
it's a fun
fun
challenge.
Yeah, it's a fun exercise. All right, so let's talk about updates. Scotty, you go first, brother.
Writing a bunch. So I finally finished my final final, super double final proofread of The Last Reaper 13 and sent it off to the editor.
Is that what the Word document is called when you send that around?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. When you see when you look at the file name, why is this file name so long? Final, double final, like 3 dates, updated, and then it says the end. Because I got to keep.
It's like when you've got the windows open and you're looking at the icons and you've got to change it to the Word so you can see the.
You got to like expand the window, the bar that you can read the whole thing. Yeah. So I sent that in. I got a little bit lazy because our editor was sick and backed up on another project, and so Jeff was like, "Hey, take your time." I'm like, "Okay." So I'll just start writing the next book. So which is what I did. So I'd write every morning and then try to do some proofreading and editing on the one that was already done. And that, of course, went nowhere. So last couple of days, I just knuckled down and worked on those all day long, got that done, sent it off, working on The Last Reaper 14. Not doing too much on my side projects just because lack of horsepower. Earlier in the month, I was working on like 2-3 books at a time. I was like, yay, I'm invincible. And then I was like, no, I'm not. I only did 200 words today. Yay. So the writing's going good. We're still showing the house. Hopefully we have an offer. All my kids have suddenly started playing music, which I've always tried to get my kids to play music, but now they're like really interested. So now that they've been antagonizing me to play my string bass because I used to play. So now I have that out. I've been practicing that and it's fun. Kind of like a big, deep-voiced cat dying, when you first start playing in there. So when we move into our apartment next month, after we sell the house, I'm sure our neighbor's going to love us a lot. But
sorry.
No, go ahead. You're what?
My oldest daughter played stand-up bass for the high school orchestra.
Yeah.
I know the cat.
Yeah.
My daughter plays cello. My oldest daughter plays cello, and that's fun to listen to. She's actually pretty good, but
it's the early learning phases.
Right.
Dare's playing violin. Yeah. And he just and the thing is he's interesting because I've taught a lot of people to play instruments and they kind of follow the lessons. Well, I teach him the lessons and he does the whatever, but then he just plays whatever he wants. So he's up there like day 2 on the violin, improvising, just sawing away, playing notes. And I'm like, it kind of sounds musical, but it's really weird because it's the second day and he has no idea of theory or anything. He's just going for it.
Nice.
Like, I guess it's not wrong. And that's how he treats all the 5 instruments he's decided to learn in the last week. But so I'm happy.
I mean, if you're going to do one, you might as well do 5.
It's kind of like that, it's kind of like buying guns. You really can't have too many. You go to
all the notes are the same.
Yeah. We go to the music store. I'm like, I'm going to buy like 8 basses today for no reason at all. But I have to stop. But so having good times. Things are good here in Kansas now that the snowpacalyse is over for 2 days.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Chuck, go ahead.
Oh, let's see. JV softball's kicked up again. So I've gone from taking her to 6-day-a-week practices to back-to-back, let's see. Every weekend for the next 5 weekends will be a 2-day tournament and at least 2 games 2 nights out of the week. So I'm on a lot of dad softball duty. And in between all of that, I'm still plugging away at Jack Darque 3 for Athon and still kind of bouncing around ideas for a space fantasy setting, kind of my take on a Star Wars kind of thing. Kind of leaning towards imagine Star Wars kind of setting, but the Jedi are more like the monks from Avatar: The Last Airbender kind of stuff.
Very cool.
So it's not too much of an obvious ripoff. Just playing around with
influenced
ideas. Influenced by. It's an homage.
It's an homage.
Nice.
But that's about it. The family's keeping me busy.
Have you been watching Boba Fett?
Oh yeah, I finished Boba Fett.
Did you?
Yeah, I finished Boba Fett. I finished Peacemaker the other day.
I stopped Boba Fett at episode 2.
Everybody
says I need to watch episode 5 and finish it.
I watched episode 5 last night and it was amazing. It was like totally different series.
Yeah, it picks up. I mean, I had my little issues with it, but overall I thought it was fun. I mean, because the last few episodes absolutely were good.
Without going too far into the weeds, I immediately noticed with episode 5 is Mando is on different planets.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because he's whereas Boba Fett, the first 4 episodes, it's like they're at the same deserty hut.
Yeah, it's like all one set.
Like boring.
with
I also
Power Ranger
watched
motorcycles.
And Mando kills like 14 people in the first scene and chops the guy completely in half along with the hanging meat behind him. I'm like, that's a lot different than what Boba Fett's been doing, because Boba Fett's like, I'm sorry I offended you.
Right.
Like,
he's like an old guy who just wants to lay in his back to tank and tell
for the
people
most dangerous bounty hunter in the galaxy. He's awfully nice.
Yeah,
he's
but that was
polite.
when he was in his prime.
It's very important to be.
You lose a step after a while, man.
Right? Yeah. No, you can't bash the guy for being a nice bounty hunter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. There's a place for nice bounty hunters.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, the wife and I binged Reacher on Amazon. That was good too.
I liked Reacher a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Go ahead, Casey. What were you saying?
Oh no, I feel like being nice can be indicative of the most deadly person in the galaxy, because they don't have to be mean.
Exactly. That's the whole thing.
That is
Tough
true.
guys never have to say so.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of guys don't get. Is like if you can deliver, there's no point in talking about it.
Well, it's speaking of Reacher, that like he didn't talk shit really. He did what he needed to do. He punched some dudes in the face and shot some guys. And
I always loved, and in the books too, I always loved how he's like, I'll give you the count of 3. 1, 2, boom.
Yeah. What I love about it is that, the general consensus on people that actually fight is a fair fight is one that you're probably going to lose. You don't ever want to go into a fair fight. So you just do whatever you need to do to win. And if that's cheating, then I mean,
there's no such thing as cheating. There's
exactly. Yeah.
I did like the one scene where he's obviously going to fight some guy that's being mean to his wife or whatever, because he's being an abusive jerk, and he goes over and he starts staring the guy down, and the guy's like starts cussing him out, but then the guy looks at him and goes, because normally you're like, why would anybody in their right mind fight a 6'5" wall of muscle that looks like he's ready to kill you? I mean, this guy obviously is not going to win. And then I did like that, because he actually went, okay, actually I'm wrong.
Yeah, he's
I
like,
love that.
Look, man, it won't happen again. I'm sorry.
He had the argument with himself without even.
Yeah. It's just a great.
That's you, Joshua.
This week.
We're going to Casey.
Yeah, Casey first.
Oh, me.
Yes.
I have been. So in January, I did a ton of writing, working on the sequel to Gunpowder and Embers that I'm working on with Chris Smith and John Ringo, and then. Moving into February, I actually took leave in January. So I just took the whole month off and just spent it all writing. It was nice until my youngest daughter popped positive for COVID because she was a close contact of one of the neighbor kids. She fortunately never had any symptoms. But we had to quarantine here in our house on base for 2 weeks. And that was,
nice.
That was a fun experiment. We'll call
Great
it
for productivity.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. Because she's at the age where it's like, oh, you don't have to go to school. Okay. We're going to sit down. We're going to do your take home work for an hour. And then, okay, fine. You can go play Fortnite on the Switch for the rest of the day, because I'm clearly mom of the year. But
Fortnite's done.
But yeah, right. I mean, that was sort of my philosophy, is we're in quarantine. This is survival times. I'll do what I have to do.
Minimum effort.
That's right. So yeah, I started off the year with a bang, and then moving into February, my word productivity dropped down, but I started doing other things. I launched my YouTube channel and have been doing a bunch of edits and stuff. So February doesn't look as good on paper as January did. But right now, in fact, last night I started a new story for Marisa Wolf is editing an anthology for CKP in the Hit World universe called Hit World Valkyries, and she invited me to contribute a story. And so I was on a call with her yesterday talking about that, plotting that out, and then started working on that yesterday. So that's my quick little, I'm gonna knock this short story out before I go back to, all the novels, sort of palette cleanser, if you will.
Right. Have a little break.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had to do one of those between Jack Darque 2 and the new Jack Darque, because I needed to get out of that world for a minute to regain some perspective.
Right. Well, and in March, I'm starting a new project again with Chris Kennedy because March 7th, I start my SkillBridge internship. So if you're not familiar, SkillBridge is a DoD program that allows transitioning service members to do an unpaid internship in the corporate world. And so I was able to arrange things so that I could do a writing internship with Chris Kennedy Publishing for a brand new project. And so 3 days a week, I will be working on that, and then I'll fly Thursday, and then do like office work and appointments on Friday. So that starts March 7th and goes until my retirement ceremony on June 2nd. So
that's living the life right there.
That's pretty cool.
It is a hell of a deal. Yeah, it is a hell of a deal.
Why didn't we start this years ago?
There was kind of a program that a couple of people like that the police department suggested that I try to do, and I never really looked into it. It said the police department you can leave for like a year to do like college or whatever, and you don't lose anything. You don't lose your seniority. You don't lose anything. And I considered
paid, but you don't lose your days off and your seniority and all that.
And I considered doing that and like taking one college class and then writing and like making that the bridge, and then it all worked out and I didn't have to do it. That is really cool that you can do that. A lot of people, I mean, say what you want about the military. There's a lot of in the military that you have to deal with, but there's a lot of perks that if you can take advantage of, they're really cool things.
Yeah, the DoD is very good about, and the Air Force specifically is very good about. Everybody wants to posture veterans for success. It seems like, because I think rightfully so, people look at homeless veteran homelessness as a problem that shouldn't happen, right? Like we're supposed to, we forge these bonds of brotherhood and sisterhood with each other. So does that stop? Does that go away? We'd say that it doesn't. So if it doesn't, why is this happening? So let's do things to posture our brothers and sisters for success. So
no, I think that's amazing. I think it's awesome.
Idea.
Yeah.
Let's see. This week I have done a crap ton of writing, and
define crap ton.
Well,
is that a metric crap ton?
It's a highly it's a scientific number, and it's classified, so I can't like release the actual. I did 2,100 words today on a short story that I'm finishing for Chris Kennedy for a bounty hunter anthology that Kacey couldn't do, and I will hold it against her for her entire life. I actually have written two short stories for this. So I wrote one, the collab didn't work out, and so now I'm writing a completely different one that's set in my weaponized universe. Those are the new novels I'm writing for Aethon, and so I'm almost done. I'm at like 7,500 words, and so I think I can do it in another 3. We'll see. I might be over.
Just in the middle of the sentence, right? The end.
The end. Yeah, exactly. It's ambiguous for a reason.
Everyone dies.
Yeah.
Yep. Big explosion. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, my wife and I have been binging SEAL Team on Amazon, which is a fantastic show. If you haven't watched it, I love it.
That's a good one.
And I got inspired over the last couple of days, and so I've been sitting with my laptop writing notes for this fantasy project that I'm working on, and figured again a metric crap ton of stuff out over the last weekend, and had a lot of things make sense in my head, figured out a lot of the lore and a lot of the backstory, so it works and it makes sense, and started plotting out one of the second POV in the story, because I have the first one already planned out. So hopefully I'll have the second one done in a couple of days. Then I'll be able to do the third one. Then I'll have basically the entire thing, the entire first book, ready to like actually synopsize and outline to give to an editor who's been helping me with it. So hopefully I can sell it, and that'll be awesome. Let's see. Tranquility 3 is I'm about probably halfway done with my that was weird. Halfway done with my
I was trying to mute my mic so I could cough, but instead I took myself out of the stream because I'm retarded.
Nicely done.
Can I say that?
Yeah, I think you can. So Tranquility is almost done. On the reading front, I have read Rift by Lisa Richmond, which is fantastic. I'm halfway through Against All Odds by Jeff Haskell. I'm halfway through Jack Darque 1 by our very own Chuck Manley. It's a fantastic story. And I'm almost done with CR6 listening to it. And I got an autographed copy. And if you haven't read The Gray Man, it's a fantastic series. I love it. And I think that's it. That was a really long update for me.
That's probably as if your updates are so organized and right focused and stuff.
It's because I write it down.
You write it down, getting the reading done.
Okay, we're going to talk about these books here for a second, but before we do that, I want to talk about the show sponsor, which is Checkmate by Thomas Hottle.
Checkmate.
Hey, don't forget the sponsor.
Don't forget. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, I appreciate that. Mud, remote, insignificant, a battleground both humans and Gelt fight token battles over. But the enemy JT Austin faces is not the Gelt. Someone within the compact arrives to destroy one starship and board his own. His captain dead, a royal party under his protection. He must get off the ship and away from the killing machine slaughtering his shipmates. He will pretend to be dead, hide among the debris of a sister ship, and bargain with humanity's erstwhile enemy to survive. He will also call upon one person he has counted on for years, the legendary Suicide. Before it is all over, the compact's greatest threat will be revealed to be within its borders, and a traitor may be living among them. In chess, players know the rules. In this deadly game, no one knows the rules of doom. That is Checkmate by T.S. Hottle. I have the link right, y'all. We're gonna put that in the chat comments. It'll be in the show notes as well. Show notes done by the one and only Ken Britz, who's fantastic. And we should all take a moment of silence to thank Ken for watching the shows and making really great show notes. And now we're on with the show. So let's talk about your latest book. I lost it. Where'd it go? There it is. Nope, that's Weird World. That's not it. Here it is. Found it. And
Skies to conquer. Skies.
This, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do. There we go.
There it is.
Very professionally, I just did that.
I've seen that in my little email thing.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm on your list.
My mailing list. You're one of the cool kids at the cool kids table.
I am.
We always suspected he was.
Let's talk about this.
Nobody's called me a kid in a long time, though. Thanks.
This is the third book in the series. Is the last book, or let's talk about it.
It is the last for now.
Okay.
This is the last of my originally planned trilogy. Whether or not there will be future stories set in this universe, I can't say because I don't know yet. But for now, this is the completion of what I had planned to do in this universe. So, so this is Skies to Conquer. Like you said, book 3 in the Psyche of War universe. This is the universe where I postulate, what if there were certain women, and they're all women because I'm sexist.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
Rightfully so.
Who are psychic, and the way psychic works in this universe is not so much like, oh, I can see the future, but it's more like they have the ability to create telepathic networks with other people so that they can communicate directly into someone else's mind. And book 1 was Minds of Men, and it was set in World War II, were the Army Air Corps, desperate to keep some of their 8th Air Force bomber crews alive more than were typically coming back from the missions over Europe, put some of these women on board the aircraft in order to facilitate communications, essentially acting like a human radio, sort of.
Cool. Yeah.
And that was book one. This character that you see in front of you is Pearl Silver. She was one of those women. And so book one is set in World War II. Book two is a Cold War spy thriller. Book three is set in Vietnam. Yeah. And that is why you have the lovely lady UH-1, magnificent old warbird that she is, flying over the jungles of Vietnam. They're on the cover. So, yeah.
What's that song from Apocalypse Now where all the Hueys are... Every time I see a Huey, that song like plays it.
As you should. Yeah. That's our theme song.
Whenever you message me on Messenger, Fly to the Valkyrie.
Is that my ringtone, Josh?
Yeah.
If it wasn't, it is now.
So yeah, let's dive into the book a little bit. Of course, it's the last book in the series, so we've got to wrap up some plot threads. But it seems like you're bringing in a new focus on central characters here. So what's your inspiration for these characters? And then a lot of times, I think you can lose track of what you wanted to do overall with the story. So what was that like for you in the finish, then wrapping the series up?
Sure. So this series is not like, the thing about this series is that it's almost episodic, right? Like you could read these books in any order. And there would be, you wouldn't miss much if you did that, if you read them out of order, because what I wanted to do was tell each woman's individual story. And then the elements that link them are their shared history, because the protagonist of book two is the antagonist of book one. So the elements that link them, are their, like I said, their shared history as women, as psychics, and as veterans. And so each individual story is just that woman's particular war story. So this book, Skies to Conquer, Pearl is all grown up. She's in her 40s. She's very happy in her life. She's married. She has a son who's also grown up. At the beginning of the book, he's in college, and the conflict sort of starts when he comes home and announces to his family that he's not going back to college, that he's in fact enlisted in the army to go serve his country in Vietnam. And his father vehemently disagrees with that decision, and then they argue about it. And then but the son's an adult, and he does, he's done what he's done, and so he goes. And then a few months later, they get a notification from the army that he's been missing in action. And so Pearl is so, I mean, I'm sure it's no surprise to anybody who's met me or read some of my books that I have very strong opinions on motherhood and what a mother will do to protect her children, because I know what I will do to protect my children.
Uh-oh. She froze.
I feel like that's a deliberate psychic attack.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering that myself. Yeah, I think.
Did we lose her completely? She had been,
I don't know,
clipping a little bit.
It's kind of.
Well, hopefully she'll come back in a second. I really like.
It's a cool concept. The whole mind link thing is pretty neat.
Well, doing like the alternate history type wars with different either sending like modern units back to affect different outcomes in the war, or like this where you have like some paranormal type of activities.
What was that Turtle Dove? I think it was Turtle Dove wrote, was it Guns of the South, where somebody went back in time and gave the Confederate Army M16s and shit?
Yeah, no,
she's back.
There she is.
I'm sorry, StreamYard kicked.
Oh no, that's okay.
Not your fault.
It happens.
We're only going across the entire.
They heard you announce your sexism and you were canceled. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Well, you cut off where you were talking about what a mother would do to protect her children, and what your character, how it affects your characters.
Right. So in Pearl's case, what she'll do is she'll call up, the men she flew with in 1943, some of whom are now senior officers in the U.S. military involved in Vietnam, and is like, hey man, I need you to put me in country so I can find my kid. And they owe her enough that they're willing to do that, even if it pushes the bounds of legality. So that's what she does. And I'm very proud of this story. It's very gutty. Like there's a lot of emotion involved in this story. So I hope fans of the series will also enjoy it. Will enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. So,
well, I mean, knowing how well you write emotionally charged characters, I can't see people not loving the story. And in fact, you have a clip from a show, and I'm not sure what show it is from, but it is in a secret project that I'm working on right now, where you're talking about connecting to your readers on an emotional level, and that was like last year, sometime year before, from one of the shows we had. So like you can tell that building emotion, creating emotion, having that connection through the characters and your readers is a significant point for you as a writer, and I think that's really awesome to focus on that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean that's what gets me as a reader, right?
Yeah.
When an author can engage my emotions and make me identify with the character and feel for the character, whether positive or negative emotions. Some of my favorite characters are my most hated villains, that they just resonate, right? And so that's what I want to do with my books and my characters and my readers, is connect with them on that emotional level, because I think we all need that as humans.
Absolutely. Well, and like I said, sometimes even with the villains, you got to know what happens or what they do, or sometimes you're kind of secretly hoping maybe they get it together and become less of a villain, but sometimes you're just fascinated by what the hell they're doing in that. Right. And they usually have good motivations, too. Like a lot of times your villains, I've used a couple of characters. There's a character in what was the it was the Man in a High Castle. And there's a villain in there that at some point, and he's a terribly bad character, but at a point this doctor tells him he has to put his son down basically because he's disabled.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
So he takes the lethal injection and gives it to the doctor instead and just pushes him out of the car. Like, it didn't go as he planned, because he's protecting his son. He's still a really bad guy, but you can see why he did that. So
yeah,
and it creates a point of empathy. Yeah, you can connect with the bad guy.
Yeah, it humanizes them.
Yeah. So it makes them even a little bit harder to kind of dislike almost.
You hate them, but you kind of wish you didn't have to.
And that was sort of the exercise of book 2 in my series too, because, I mentioned that the main character of book 2 is the antagonist of book 1. She's a Nazi, you guys. Like she's, and so I wanted
like a literal Nazi.
Like she's a member of the SS.
Yeah, no, I was poking fun. Yeah,
I know. But in this case, yes, she is a literal Nazi.
Yeah.
And in book 1, and so that's how she's the antagonist. Is she's chasing Evie, the main character, and her downed, the survivors of her downed bomber across occupied Europe. And in book 2, I had to figure out a way to make her not just a sympathetic character, but a character that people would kind of root for. And the way that I tried to do that, I think the key to doing that, for me at least, was to remember that whatever that old axiom is that says every villain is the hero of their own story, right? Yeah. So she's in her mind, she's the hero of her own story. So what is that story? What is motivating her? Why was she doing these things that she was doing? Was it, in her case, it was a little bit of patriotism. It was a little bit of pride in her abilities. And it was, she had lost her family due to the American bombers and stuff. So like, these are motivations that we can understand, even if we disagree with their manifestation, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so, so I tried to take her and put her in a position to where the reader could see those motivations and and begin to understand her, her thought process and her decision making. And I also, alongside that, I think the other key to that is that I had to give her a comeuppance. I had to give her a point where she had to face that the things that she had done, while they may have been her job, did have an evil component to them.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And she got to take responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's true of whether you have a hero or a villain character. If you have your character making decisions that have negative consequences, they have to own those consequences. And I think that you should have, your character make those decisions, because it makes for a more interesting story.
It's kind of like I saw one of those memes on Facebook today, and it said, when you're the main character and you've killed 150 people in this book or in this movie, but it's okay because you're
the main character. Yeah.
Kind of like John Wick is definitely
murder sprees are fine as long as the story's about you.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a funny meme that sort of related that you guys know the game Skyrim?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely
thousands of hours
I know it.
played that game.
I played it, but then I took an
Super
arrow to
fun.
the knee. No.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I saw this meme that had like the character of Jarl Balgruuf of Whiterun, who's like one of the NPCs, one of the first NPCs that you come to, but he's a relatively major NPC, and it's like his thought bubble, and it's like, oh God, here comes this maniac again that just rampages about the countryside, slaughtering people and beasts and dragons. What does he want from me now?
Exactly.
And it's just the perspective is so important when you're telling a story that keeping in mind those things, I think makes for a richer experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a group of guys that do some short videos, like 3 to 5 minute, like funny takes on like things like Skyrim or other games, and they like they have the NPCs. They're just standing around, but they're like walking very oddly, and then like trading in like gold swords and trying to get like whatever, or like females trying to buy armor when like they buy the same armor as the dude, and they look nothing like the dude, and it's like yeah, exactly. It's hilarious.
I've seen those.
That's right.
So you mentioned earlier working on a metric crap ton classified of different projects that you have going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know that you've ever had at least 2 or 3 going at one point in time, like just all the time, just writing and working on different things, which is fantastic. But you're
But isn't it really?
It is when they're done, not when you're working.
When they're done.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, that was so great. It's great.
Having done is always better than doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, for sure. And
you mentioned retiring from the Air Force, and you've got a really neat thing happening with the new YouTube channel and making the transition to a full-time author. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about that. Talk about the thought process going into you're very detailed oriented person, as far as I can tell. When you talk about planning books, I've planned stories with you and really look into the nitty gritty of what you need to do a certain thing. And so you're not jumping off the deep end without a plan. And so I want to talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah. So, let's see where to start. This summer, I will retire from the Air Force with 23 years of service.
Congrats.
And thank you. Well, thanks. It's
same.
A big deal. Personally, it's a big deal because, like, I also was a military brat, so I've never not had some form of income stream to my family that wasn't from the military, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know, and since I'm retiring, I mean, that'll continue because I'll have my pension. But obviously that's it's not the same, right? So, you know, over the last couple of years, my husband and I have been talking, and what do we want to do? Where do we want to go? And it's funny because since he's also a veteran, like he also has this sort of like codependence relationship with the Air Force because, you know, he's used to being told where to go too, if not for his own career, then for mine.
Right.
And, you know, but with the world open to us, super exhilarating and super scary to have to like make these choices for ourselves. So what we came to is what I really want to do with my life is, right now I fly full-time. I'm a full-time pilot, an officer, and a part-time writer. I'd like to invert those. I'd like to become a full-time writer and part-time pilot. So we started looking at ways to do that and settled on a place where we want to live, where we've got family nearby. And so I started looking at, okay, if I'm going to make full-time money from writing, how do I need to do that? Well, number one, I need to up my production so that I can more releases, more money, right? And really kind of get behind that. But the other thing is that, along with upping production, I don't, and I'm not saying that those who produce quickly are sacrificing quality, but my fear was that if I tried to produce more quickly, I might sacrifice quality, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, and I didn't want to do that. So I started looking, okay, well, there's got to be other ways of building income streams. And then I really started kind of thinking about, well, what is it that makes authors, particularly indie authors, successful, like financially successful? And it just so happened that what I found out was that one of the things I was also wanting to do anyway, just for my own like personal emotional gratification, seemed to be also the key to financial success as an indie author. Now, I'm not strictly indie, obviously. I work very hard at being a hybrid author, because I do publish traditionally with Baen, and I have a book out with Blackstone Press, and I would like to continue those relationships, but I also want to continue to work within the much more flexible and responsive realm of indie publishing. And the key is building community. That's what I found, is that the most successful writers have a community of rabid fans who follow their work, who buy anything with their name on it, who promote their work on social media and otherwise. And that's what I want. And so I started thinking about, okay, well, how do I do that? And honestly, you guys here at Keystroke were one of the inspirations for how, because one of the things I love about coming on this show is the community that you guys have behind you, the keystrokers or the mediums or whatever it is that you want to call them.
We call them lots of things.
They call themselves mediums. I call them strokers. There's really, it's kind of
medium mob.
Yeah,
that's right. They show up for every show and they have great comments and great inputs. And, they come to conventions to see you guys, and that's fantastic. I love that. And I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that for myself. So Keystroke Medium was one inspiration, but then another one was, there's an author by the name of Sarah Cannon, she's an indie author. She writes YA urban fantasy mostly. And I would love it if she came on this show, because I think she would love you guys. But
what's her name again?
Sarah Cannon, Sarra Cannon, Cannon. She has her own YouTube channel. In fact, she has two of them. One of them, and this is how I found her, is called Heart Breathings, and it is focused on planning. Yes, yeah, exactly. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the magic right there. 100%. And but Sarah Cannon's Heart Breathings channel is focused on planning and productivity for writers. And
I think I've seen that. I think I am subscribed to that. I remember you talking about it a while ago.
Because I talked about it with you, right?
Yeah.
And when I mean planning, like I'm talking like big ass like books.
Yes.
Pretty flowery notebooks. Because I'm so into like the tactile notebook. I have like shelves of notebooks that I'm just waiting to use because they're so pretty. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
I like to use the first 5 to 10 pages and then just kind of go into a new notebook.
That's right. Yeah. The point is, that's how I found Sarah Cannon and her channels. And she's been very successful at, again, building community, utilizing her YouTube videos, utilizing her Discord server and her Facebook groups to interact with her fans, to encourage her fans, and to build income streams, which, I'm enough of a dedicated capitalist that I can't argue with that, right? Why not monetize the things you love?
Right.
So that's my goal, is I'm trying to build a community of fans and friends who will, you know, support my work, but also just support me emotionally as a friend, as a person, and hopefully, you know, along the way, sort of as a side benefit, provide multiple income streams through, you know, writing and YouTube and various other ideas I have percolating for next stages of the project. So
I think the YouTube channel is a great idea, and I think that is a really personal way to build your connection. I started doing highlight videos the last year and then fell off the wagon, and I want to start doing them again. They're fun, and I always feel like on the authors that I follow, that I read all the time, like you're saying, they publish a book and I read it. I love hearing what they have to say. Even if they don't say much, I love listening to them and hearing what they have to say. And so I'm not saying that I'm on that level, but you know, I have one or two fans that really read everything that I write and want to know. And so I think that that's really cool to be able to do that and connect on that level. And it's more than just reading words on a page.
Yeah, it is. And you know, you use the word connect, and that's really what it's about, right? Is building that connection. Chris Kennedy says this very well in his, you know, when he does his like how to be a writer presentations at cons and stuff. And he points out that especially as an indie, your book isn't going to sell itself. Like, people don't buy your book because it has a beautiful cover or because, you know, the prose inside is amazing. People buy your book, especially as an indie writer, because they connect with you, with who you are. And so you got to kind of get you out there. And, you know, I had embraced that concept of, you know, and by showing up at a lot of conventions and doing a lot of conventions and connecting with people that way and using that to build my fan base. And I enjoy that, and I will continue to do that. But I obviously haven't been able to do it here, you know, while I've been here in Japan for the last couple of years. So, so that, and then the events of 2020 and the pandemic and all the lockdowns and everything that people had to deal with really sort of showed me that, like, yes, number one, human beings crave connection. We need it. We need to be able to, you know, just interact with one another and feel like someone is seeing us and noticing us, and that we are seeing and noticing them. And that, you know, we need community, and we need all kinds of communities, right? We need digital communities. We need, you know, real world communities in our physical locations. And so building those things and investing energy in building those communities is really a form of self-care. And I think that's important for everyone, whether you're a writer or not, you know, but I'm fortunate to have the tools to hopefully be able to do that and kind of dovetail it into my business as a writer. So what I've decided to do with my channel is, I mean, everyone's kind of got a niche, right? Like, I don't want to be Keystroke Medium Part 2, because you guys have such a phenomenal system going on here, and such a phenomenal project where, you know, writers can come and learn about writing and connect with other writers and you know, share their work and stuff. And that's fantastic. And I don't want to try and duplicate that, because it would be counterproductive from what I'm trying to do. So instead, I'm sort of focusing on, to a certain extent, this transition piece, right? I'm doing right now. I'm in the middle of doing a video series called Co-Authors, where I just get on with people that I've written with, and you might be getting an email about that, Josh. Yes. where we just get on and we literally just hang out and talk about stuff, not necessarily writing, although we talk a little bit about writing. But I'm not trying to break down the process or anything like that, because again, there's other channels and other sources for that information that is very, very good, and I'm not ever going to be able to necessarily duplicate that. What I am trying to plug into is the synergy, the dynamic, because I think that resonates with fans, and they, as they get to know us and get to like us, then they want to buy our books, So
one of the things that I think is really interesting about YouTube and making videos and, like you're saying, documenting the transition or documenting what you're doing as you're becoming a full-time author. And this goes with multiple things on multiple different levels, but specifically to this, it's always interesting to follow a person that you like through their journey and seeing the steps that they're going on and seeing how they're growing, not only as an author, but also as a content creator. And, don't ever go and watch the first 20 episodes of Keystroke Medium. Just don't do it. There's episodes that we've done.
If you really hated yourself, you could go watch them if you want to suffer.
That the episodes of what did we? It wasn't even called Keystroke Medium.
It was The Right Stuff.
The Right Stuff.
Until we realized there was 14,000 other podcasts called The Right Stuff. And we're like, yeah, we need to find a better name.
But it's in any contract. There's a couple of people that I watch that play video games, and I go back and I watch the beginning episodes of them, and they, first of all, they don't sound anything like they sound now, and they don't talk anything like they talk now. And you can see a very significant growth in their personality and how they create their content. And I think YouTube is a really great platform for that, especially documentation purposes, but just even you as a creator growing that way is I think is very awesome to see and experience. And I don't know how many people that we've affected in their writing journey or their writing growth, but even if it's one or two, it's really cool to be a part of that. And I would not sell yourself short in the capacity to teach other authors or teach writers that are, or readers that even want to write, that are following you as an author, because I think you have a lot to share and a lot to teach authors, and you do it in a very clear and succinct way that and you have a very open personality, I'm very excited to watch your videos and follow this journey. And
he's just trying to get on your show. He's trying to suck.
Yeah,
please.
I'm going to send you an email.
Please, can I come on, please?
Yes, please do.
So
please do.
I'm interested in the YouTube channel is part of it, but you also have the writing projects that you've kind of been layering on and setting yourself up as a hybrid author, which I think is fantastic. I think whoever is not doing that is missing the boat. They truly are.
Yeah, you got to do both. I think if you can, you should do both.
100%. And I'm trying to do it. I know, Kacey, you are doing it. I know other authors that are doing it. It's 100%, I think, the way to go, because I'm with you. I can't do the 30-day cliff hustle. I am just not a fast writer like that. I can't do it. I think the value to being an indie author is awesome. I think the value to being a traditional publisher is awesome. Combining the two, you just cannot go wrong if you can make it happen.
Right.
And it takes a little bit more work doing the traditional route. It's not as easy, and there's a lot of things that you're going to have to contend with, like editorial changes, or just a lot of other things that are in the
longer timelines.
Yeah. So what do you have lined up for you? What are you putting in place? Different things that you're looking at to produce or to keep producing to make this full-time transition?
So, like I said, I'm on the TradPub side of the house. I'm continuing to work on my my series with Chris Smith and John Ringo. That was a 3-book contract. We've got book 1 out. We're currently working on book 2. In addition to that, I'm also working on the sequel to The Romanov Rescue, which again came out from Baen. And that one book was with, thank you, came out with from Tom Kratman, Justin Watson, and myself. And then we had some help writing it from Mona Lisa Foster. She was originally, it was going to be the 4 of us working on this project, and after working on the first book, she was like, she basically was like, yeah, I don't want to continue with this project. It's not really my wheelhouse. I've had a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me play. But we still paid her, but she dropped out of the project overall.
Yeah. That was a great book. I enjoyed reading it.
And I was a little sad when that happened, because she was the one who wrote the Tatiana interludes, and I thought those were so well done. Well done. So now I've got to try and step into her shoes. Wish me luck. So those are my two main projects with Baen, along with the I'm just finishing the final edits on the second noir anthology that I'm doing with Larry Correa. Called No Game for Knights, and that should be out in September of this year. So very excited about that.
On for that when that releases.
I would love to do that. I'll get in touch with Larry, and we'll see if we can get a couple of the contributing authors to come on and stuff. So have you guys seen the cover for that one?
Is it the kind of bluish gray one?
Yeah, it's kind of purpley. I should have sent it to you ahead of time. My favorite thing about it is I was like, yes, I finally have a Pec-Fic cover. The dude's totally not wearing a shirt.
Did you share it on Facebook? I can't remember if you did it or not. I'll see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, I did. So but yeah, it's so that's what's going on the trad pub side of the house. On the indie side of the house, as I just released the third book in my trilogy with Chris Kennedy Publishing. That's doing well. I hope it will continue to do well. And then I'm starting a new project with him in March as part of this internship that I hope will be a larger project. I've been pretty closed-mouthed about it, but I will say it is a space opera project. So I'm kind of excited about that. And just continuing to work in, kind of work in continuing to work in the Four Horsemen universe, continuing to work in the Hit World universe with Marisa. There it is. See, Pec-Fic, right? Like, here we come, Orange Tag.
And you graduated out of the Ann Moore Club. I still have my my patch for the Ann Moore patch, but
well, I kind of cheated my way to the top because I'm the editor on this one, so my name had to be on the cover.
It's twice. That's twice.
Yeah. But it is twice. That's right.
Yeah. I love the Bane shield. I think that's really cool.
I know. I thought that was hilarious.
Tom said Pecs of Valor.
Pecs of Valor. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
It's, I mean, if that's what Amazon wants to put at the top of their list, I'll give you Pecs.
Go right ahead.
Put them up there. Nice. Pecs and shields.
Pecs and shields. That's right. Can't go wrong. Well, it's very funny because Toni Weisskopf, the publisher for Baen Books, she, I don't know if she did the cover art direction for both of these, but the cover for Noir Fatale had this beautiful woman on it, and the angle was such that it emphasized her very shapely backside. So
indeed,
we called it Dat Ass, and this one now we have Doe's Pecs. So
Doe's Pecs. Yeah, there you go.
Doe's Pecs.
Very nice.
Because we're all about equal time for equal objectification.
Right, there you go. Everybody gets their time in
the
spotlight.
That's right. Yeah. So, my headphones are dying.
So, you get the little.
No, she just spoke in my ear. She's like, battery low. Please charge now. It's like,
nice.
Oh, great. Okay. But yeah. So that's what I'm doing. And then I also have, now this is, I don't know when this is going to come to fruition, but I have a small town paranormal romance series kind of floating around in my head that I have been thinking about, that I think that, I don't know if I might try to actually self-pub that one and do, because romance books can be a little bit shorter than, a lot of sci-fi fantasy stuff, and might try to pun definitely intended, bang out a couple of those, rapid release them, So
I like it.
But
I like it.
That's that's way in the future. I don't even have that on the schedule yet. So
no, I think that's cool. Like flexing writer muscles in different genres is very interesting.
Yeah,
because sometimes you're like, am I doing this right or am I not doing it right? And
and it can have downsides too. If your fan base is primarily interested in military science fiction and you put out a romance series, they're gonna be like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I don't want to read that. Are
you think you're gonna do it under a pen name, or are you just gonna do it under Kacey Ezell? Or
I think I would probably do it under Kacey Ezell, but I'm also very slowly building a list, a newsletter list of romance fans, because I mean, I read everything, and I especially like when romance is kind of my like relaxation go-to. And so I like I said, I'm slowly building a list of romance fans that I'm hoping that if and when I do this project, I'll be able to reach out and kind of tap that resource for, to be the basis of my romance audience, which may or may not overlap with my MILF sci-fi audience. So
nice.
Yeah, I think you can totally do that. I just think that, people are not going to hop from book to book. I think where people get in trouble is where they've been writing sci-fi, then they take 8 months off to write the romance, and then they come back to sci-fi. But if you kind of had the book stacked up so you didn't really make people wait too long in either genre, I think you could totally do too. And then, there's other thoughts on that, obviously, on the pen name stuff. But
yeah,
people read what they want to read.
They do. And I write what I want to read, right? So I recognize that. Yeah. Well, and then here's the other thing too. Let me be very clear. I recognize that I'm coming at this from a significant place of privilege when it comes to being a full-time writer, because, I will always have my military pension. As long as the United States government doesn't fall and I continue breathing, I'm going to get
crossing fingers.
Right. So I even if my sales tank, I will be okay. I'll be able to feed my family. And I know not everybody's in that situation.
Craig Bartell actually did a big thing about that. It's like never everybody's in the same place. And like there was a lot of comparativeness stuff in the 20 books thing. And he said, I have 3 retirements. Don't do the same things I do. Do what you need to do for your situation.
And I'm not done flying yet. I love flying. And so I want to continue flying, like I said, on a more part-time basis. But the way that manifests for me is hopefully I'm applying for a couple of helicopter EMS jobs. So like life flight.
Oh yeah.
Those end up usually working on a 7 on, 7 off schedule. So while it feels like part-time, the pay is very good. It's like top end of helicopter.
And just throwing it out there that we use a lot of life watch in Kansas because of all the small communities. So they got a life watch to Wichita, and so there's a lot of work for pilots.
Yeah.
I do some doctors and PAs and stuff that would fly all over Kansas. Like fly over there for a day. Run their practice and fly to another place and.
Yeah. It's there's the last time I checked, there were like 3 jobs in the area where I'm going to live. So I'm hopeful that I'll be able to be to get hired doing that. But again, so yes, full-time writer, but with an asterisk. If I'm perfectly clear. Yeah.
Well, and I think too, like again, we've talked about this before, where the bar for full time is different for everybody, and I think a lot of people get hemmed up in thinking full time author is like, Stephen King level, and that's not the level for a full time author. The level for a full time author is significantly lower than the Stephen King bar, and a lot of people don't want to be full time authors. They just want to be able to write what they want to write and sell what they want to sell, and I think either way, as long as you're loving what you're doing. It really doesn't matter.
The lifestyle design thing is really the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How can you do what you want to do in this life? That's really the end goal.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that your point is is very key there, Josh, is that almost nobody gets into this accidentally. Like you have to have a plan, right?
Yeah.
And even if how detailed the plan is, well, that that depends on you and your individual needs, but yeah, you have to have a plan. I hope I'm not echoing. My headphones died. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
I didn't notice a difference.
Okay.
Tom says he should be on his 4th vacation home by now. His brother-in-law thinks that. Interesting.
Well, yeah. Tell your brother-in-law to be quiet and buy more of your books then.
That's right. I need you to buy 8,000 more books.
That's right.
Well, Kacey, thank you so much for coming on the show. As always, it's so much fun to talk with you, and I always feel like I learn a little bit more every time you come on and share your writing and your life with us. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for letting me come in and talk about my new release. So I appreciate that too.
Absolutely.
So now Josh is trying to get on your show, and he's also trying to find out where you're going to live so that he can fake a medical emergency and get life watch. It's like, can I get this book autographed while I'm getting flown?
You ever seen that GIF where the dude's hiding behind a plant and he's like, that's me trying to get on Kacey's show. Everybody, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us today. Patricia, I don't think that I called you out in the beginning of the show, but you're here. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us. She says you were the guest of Valor today, so
there you go.
That's true.
Fantastic. Trucker said earlier, I got through 2 books last weekend. Loved them both. Authors are on today. Hey. Wonder who it was. Secrets and mysteries. If you're listening on the audio version of the podcast, again, we do a live broadcast of the show on Mondays, 2-ish Central. Walt Rebillard is coming back with Coffee and Concepts, I think tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And then guess what, guys? We are like, it's 7 days away, I think, from March, which means the writer's journey is coming back. Manley and Warren have been gone on their vacation hiatus since 2021, and they are going to come back strong with the writer's journey in March. The next Under the Iceberg, I think, is this Saturday, and James S.A. Aaron is going to be leading that episode. A lot of fun things happening on the channel. And if you haven't already, do you have a URL for your YouTube channel yet, Kacey?
I don't have a custom one yet. I'm at like 75 subscribers and I need 100. So
we're gonna get you there. Let's see.
If you go to YouTube and search Kacey Ezell Writer Life, that's my channel. And I would absolutely love for you guys to come subscribe to my channel. I do my weekly live stream updates every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central. So
I just did the work for you. The link is in the live chat. Kacey Ezell Writer Life. She needs 17 subscribers to hit that threshold.
We can make that happen easy.
You need to go right now. If you're watching live, do it right now because you're already on YouTube. You're already there.
All right, I just did that.
Go
thank
over
you.
and
Thank you.
Channel. If you're listening on the audio feed, the link will be in the show notes. It's also at the very bottom of the live chat if you're scrolling through there. Go and subscribe right now. And follow Kacey on her journey to becoming.
People are obviously listening to you because our viewers are dropping off because they're
all leaving the show to go to Kacey.
Bye.
We found a new and better place to be. Bye.
Right.
See you. Deuces.
I tell you what, if anybody from Keystroke Medium comes to my live stream on Friday and I post in the chat in the comments on YouTube that you're there from Keystroke Medium, I will pick a random one and I'll give you something. I'll do a giveaway. I don't know what it'll be.
Is it a puppy?
A puppy.
It'll probably be a book of some kind. I'm not sure which one.
Perfect. Nice. Well, again, thank you, Kacey, and to everybody else that was in the live chat. Thank you guys as well. We will be back next week. Who we have somebody on next week. We're talking comics next week. What is his name? Mike Lafferty is coming on from the BAMF podcast, talking about some comics and some D&D gamage next Monday. Awesome. So you want to come back and hang out with us for that. Well, come back with us. We're going to be talking about some reading, maybe some writing, and a lot of everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. Peace.